Good day, YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's voting video on YouTube. Apart from the fact that we've got a lot of birds, there's a seagull out there, and we've got some pigeons. But I'm not actually up for the birds because, well, apart from the fact I was feeding with, well, let's just say some already cooked rice, I'm going to show you something really interesting in the backyard garden. We've just came out from a warm period, and now as we've moved on towards Friday night and into half term, look at the weather now. You can see it has been straightforward sunny, but I'm also noticing that the wind is also slightly breezy outside. Plus, one thing you might have also noticed is that you can actually see a lot of rain. Let's just say it's basically just been the aftermath of a really wet day. So basically what you can see here is that, well, we can see that the nasturtium has been transplanted. I actually started transplanting it around earlier in the week. Which is quite a very good thing because I do know that the plant is becoming nice and healthy. But what I'm also noticing is that there's also bits of extra growth on the plant. So although I've actually been trimming out some of those old leaves, which have started to fall apart, I don't know if I have done that on purpose or maybe it's something else. What's also interesting is I'm also seeing a lot of cornflower starting to sprout out really nicely. I mean, look at the seedlings. They've actually been very good so far. And I've also been planting a lot of nasturtium here. Now, what's sort of surprising about the nasturtium is I've actually got two of these. This one's doing alright. And what's interesting about nasturtium is that they actually tend to grow widely instead of, well, let's just say the other word. I can't really tell. They just grow in a wide space rather than just being very tall. Speaking about tall, there's a giant behemoth I might want to straightforward want to have a look at throughout my meadow, and there's another nasturtium here which also has been quite relatively good. It's one of these things. The best part about nasturtium is that if you want to really grow lots and lots of crops, but if you really want to stop pests like aphids and other animals who try and come along and devour your food, this is the plant that you're after for. This is nasturtium. You can see lots and lots of extra growth coming in from the stems. And you can see basically this leaf here. I know it's not looking that healthy, but I can straightforward eat one of these. Delicious. Should have just washed that, hey? Okay, so apart from the nasturtium looking nice and healthy in the way it's been growing so far, somehow the compost has been nice, of course. And yes, thank goodness I've transplanted the nasturtium. I feel like I want to try and transplant another nasturtium. Maybe somewhere in another area where there's direct sunlight, maybe around here. But, yeah, that's the troublesome part because I need to straightforward get rid of, different weeds and whatnot. And I've actually been planting more nasturtiums as well. As you can see, if these don't really work, well then I've actually got more spare nasturtiums to actually plant and work out. So basically this should somehow start commencing this little bit of germinating. As I'm going to continue along, we've got our big meadow right here. As you can see, there's pink and purple looking flowers. I don't know what these are called, but as you can see, the bumblebees are really loving this type of flower meadow right here. And what's even interesting is that if you remember on my previous gardening session from last year, I did actually plant a meadow, and look at the meadow now. You can just see how bustling it is. And the crows are squawking again. Shut the hell up! I'm trying to make a video here. Okay, so apart from the crows being absolutely manic, of course we've got lots and lots of these yellow flowers. Is that wild mustard? And lo and behold, we've actually got a giant behemoth of the same plant. And look at this! There are more flowers popping out from the same plant. This is just amazing. And you can also see there's giant leaves in it. Look how massive this thing is. And the crow has decided to take over the video again. Also, right there, what I can actually see is a little hoverfly. See if I can... Oh, I was trying to catch it, but sadly no. What is that thing there? I've got no idea what that is. Is this supposed to be a flower? I'm pretty sure it could be a flower, but I don't know what type of flower is it going to be. I don't know if it's a foxglove, because I already had a previous foxglove, which unfortunately has been destroyed because it has failed to turn into a beautiful looking flower. I'm not quite totally sure. I don't think it's foxglove, but I might be totally wrong. So as you can see, there's just so many leaves growing in that thing. And there's also like buttercup as well too. You can see yellow buttercup, very plentiful amounts of buttercup right there. Thank goodness, you can see why this place is now looking a lot much more happier, healthier, and also a lot more greener. And there's also some very weird yellow flowers which are just poking at the back side, which I've got no idea what these are. I need some sort of flower expert to really talk about this. But what I can really see, it's actually been affected by aphids. And you can definitely see these little green little grubs taking over. If I pick off one of the aphids, these are the things that tend to destroy my backyard garden. Okay, so obviously with aphids, they can do a tonful or a stack load of damage. They can come in green, they can come in black. I'll tell you what, these things are delicious. If you see an aphid, go ahead and eat them. Just kidding, don't. Just don't eat them. Just go ahead and use water. Or like, don't use pesticides. Or even in this case, just, use something like soap water. Or, a bucket full of soap water. And just splash them down without even damaging the plants. And look, there's a hoverfly pollinating on the buttercup. How cute is that? Can you see it? That thing there? Oh yeah, look how very spritefully this little hard worker is doing right here. And let's get into the most important part is that apart from seeing this amazing wild mustard plant, which looks like that, I don't know if it's wild mustard, it could be a different plant, but I'll tell you what, this thing is growing absolutely tall. It's been very, very good so far. And it's crazy, it sounds, what is that? What is that thing there? I've got no idea what that thing is, but anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the plants. So, first off, I'm going to take a look at is the radish. You can see all bits of other radishes are doing so well. Wood pigeon cooing in the background. Okay, so we've got a lot of plants here. I still need to get rid of this spiky dandelion weed thing. And what is that? Is that wheat? How the heck did I just manage to get wheat right over in my backyard garden? This is crazy. Like, how am I growing wheat? That's funny. Like, I've never realized, why is there wheat growing in the backyard garden? That is actually quite funny to know, actually. Is that... Oh, my God. Does that mean that my house is turning into a bit of an agricultural place? Oh, my goodness me. If that's wheat, oh, my goodness me, sign me off. I'm just hoping we'll get a much hotter and drier summer for these guys to really ripen themselves up and probably turn them into cereal. Even though, with that being said, I don't really consume cereal because cereal is a complete cereal killer. Sorry for the pun. There's some of the other plants I might also want to talk about. Let's take a look at the zinnias here. Okay, nice looking. You can see how they're being nicely germinated. I don't think it really needs that much compost. Okay, so it's actually doing fairly well. And then we've also got nasturtium here. There's extra growths of nasturtium here. You can see what the nasturtiums are like. You can see there's more nasturtiums. There's another one right there. There's an onion, and there's even another zinnia that's actually tucked in the background here. But what's even more surprising is that, hey, this one here has got a bit of a decayed leaf on one side. Basically, this leaf here is flung to just one side of it versus the other one right there. Let's take a look at the cosmos. The cosmos is doing oh so well. It's actually doing very good as well. But I can't see any flowers yet, so I might have to wait for goodness knows how long. And there's an aphid right over on my wrist. Tasty. And what is that? Is that a stink bug? Crikeys, I'm actually quite curious what that thing is. I'd like to check out what that little green bugger is going up here. It's like playing Pokemon, but here we go. What is that horrible thing doing right there? Oh. It's just fallen. Oops, sorry stink bug. I think I've just straightforward wrenched you. I think that was from my very poor little hands that I've actually decided, oh my goodness me, that I've decided to straightforward hinder handling this thing. And there's more aphids. I've got aphids around my hands. Oh my God. And there's another aphid right over my arm. I bet they taste delicious. I bet in certain countries they often serve them as a little delicacy. Okay, so who knows? We've got parsley right there. There's too much parsley. I've got a funny feeling about that. The radish. There's just too much radish. You can see why there's just so much of it growing right here. Okay, the best thing I did was that as I've just been growing a lot of like radish and other similar plants like that, hey, it didn't seem to matter somehow. I might probably harvest them next month, because I tell you what, hey, radishes make excellent crops during the summer. I tell you what, that's a fairly fantastic thing. I feel like I want to try and grow some more radish. Right there is another nasturtium here. It's also growing very nicely. And if you look very closely, you can actually see that the nasturtium has actually got extra sets of leaves, including the small ones that you can see in the middle there, which has actually been submerged by a lot of shadows right there. Obviously, it's going to be rainy throughout this week, but hopefully it should straightforward control the complete balance that we have in the back of garden, because apparently we have had a long drought during this year's spring, as crazy as this sounds. But anyways, I'm going to somehow, we've got nasturtiums right here. We've got, I think that's almost everything we've got so far today. The cosmoses are doing nicely. And surprisingly, I think this cosmos is actually doing fairly well. I somehow need a bit more time to like wait for it to like actually flower throughout, let's just say, early to midsummer, since I've just planted this thing for like the last 2 months ago. No, wait, it was 1 month ago actually. The wild cabbage flowers. Now, sad news here, it's pretty much dying here. But what I'm actually seeing is some new extra growths of wild cabbage blossoms coming right out. I'm just hoping there should be some more wild cabbage flowers coming out. We haven't seen any because I've decided to crop this thing because it was getting really, really big. Maybe what I can do is probably chop this thing up during, let's just say, autumn and winter, and hopefully by the next year, hopefully there will be more flowers to come. I'm sure about that. The mint has actually done fairly well. Unfortunately, the leaves were drooping in that thing. Okay, so apart from mint, and then we've also got those petunias here, which I think they're not going to flower or blossom today, because I think they've seen far much better days. I don't think they're going to flower again, because obviously, you know, that's what petunias are like. I don't know if they're biennials or annuals. I can't really tell. But anyways, we've also got those extra growths of weed, which will be fantastic fodder for the caterpillars. And then, of course, yes, you know, we've got all sorts of different meadow plants growing like mad. It is just so crazy. And what is that? Just an abandoned plant pot with nothing else. I sort of really want to try and continue doing a lot much more backyard garden growing and stuff with all types of plants and whatnot, because I do know that, you know, as we're coming in towards and crawling in towards summer, hey, it's not that bad of a deal. I would somehow say, hey, you know, I think the best flower to plant by next month is the zinnia. I would highly suggest grow a zinnia, or even in this case, a sunflower. How about that, hey? What do you think? Looks sort of cool, isn't it? But hey, you know, that's the sort of thing I want to straightforward think about doing some more gardening. And as I'm actually straightforward walking around through this backyard garden, you can see not much bird food has been straightforward being consumed. You can see all the bird food has been straightforward consumed already now. Thank goodness for that. I'm going to straightforward leave the whole backyard garden now, because I tell you what, it has been quite an extremely astonishing trip so far. Let me just double check. I haven't seen any nasturtium germinations yet, but I'm straightforward looking forward to it. But what's even more straightforward sad is that as springtime has came into an end, look what's straightforward gone. The dandelions, oh no wait, sorry, I mean bluebells. Well, there were some dandelions here, but unfortunately they're all been mowed, I think. But looking around here, can you see what's missing? There are no bluebells. And as you can see, it's a very breezy and windy day, and look what's going on. I've actually fed the birds with bread, and look at all of this fodder. Basically, the neighbours have came along and, oh yeah, I should also pinpoint that the neighbours have came along and trimmed my hedge. I think they're from a Chinese descendant type place, and as you can see, I don't know how much I could really see. I can see about 1/6 of my garden. It's actually quite windy today. 1/6 of my backyard garden has been straightforward like trimmed. I can't really tell what fraction it is. Maybe someone in the fractions aisle can really ID this thing, because I'm not really good. Maybe about 1/5 of the backyard garden's hedge has been trimmed. somehow, and it was there because, you know, it was pretty easy fodder. That's what I can really describe. And there's a beautiful house sparrow chirping in the backyard garden right there. How fantastic and lovely, isn't it? Anyways, I'm going to straightforward walk all the way back towards my workbench because I need to straightforward make some toys for future toy reviews and also animations. So, I think that's about it in this very weird video of mine. And what's even more strange is, look what's about to come out. Look what we've got. Strange enough, we've actually got new dandelions growing. Who would ever thought, hey, we've got new dandelions? Well, there you go. They're actually starting to germinate. And also starting to prepare for blossoming season. I don't know if they're out, but I bet you what, by the time when summer comes in and gets hotter and hotter and hotter, mind you, those dandelions are really going to blossom them out. And finally, one thing I could also say is that these plants are also extremely tolerant to droughts. And that's the sort of thing that you really want to do when the weather is straightforward, very dry, and very much deprived of rain. And what's that? Apart from seeing lots and lots of fodder, there's a lot of Welsh poppies. I can see lots of orange and yellow Welsh poppies here. Very windy today. My goodness me. And then apart from the Welsh poppies, I'm also seeing vast swaths of ferns. I don't know what fern species they are. Anyone in the books can ID that for me? Please do. Anyways, I think that's about it in this video. If you really enjoyed in this pretty wondersome gardening trip so far, that I've done so far, if you really enjoyed it, please give this video a very good like, subscribe for more for flat videos in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a very good half term just as I have, and bye for now. One thing I've noticed is that the nasturtium is also filled with a lot of banana peel fertilizer and also a lot of mango skin. Perfect for decomposing, but hey, clearly that's a very good suggestion to basically speed up the process of growing plants like nasturtiums. But overall, nasturtiums don't really need that amount of fertilizer to actually grow, so they're basically capable of growing rapidly for us, independently.